Hey guys, Credit Shifu here, and today we're going to be talking about how to get that perfect 850 score. And, to sum it up at the beginning of the video, a lot of it boils down just to time and to patience with this. So when you start working on your credit score, you get your first credit card and you start building your score, it's quite easy to get up to around 700. You can get there in about a year. I've got a video called 0 to 720 in 1 year. Actually, there's no 0, it starts at 300, but that just sounded good for the title. So you can check that out if you're new. And yeah, so in 1 year you can get to around 720, and then in my second year of working on my credit, I got to around 760, I think. So in your second year, you can see your progress slows down, and afterwards your progress will slow down even more in the following years. And so let's talk about why that is. So there are certain factors that affect your credit score. One of them is credit utilization. You need to try and keep your credit utilization, the amount of your credit line that you actually use, below 30%, has a very positive impact. And that doesn't really take any time to do. You can do that immediately. You just pay back the debts that you have to keep yourself within 30% and it's done, okay? So that's something you can do immediately and it has a good effect on your score. Don't apply for too many cards at once. Keep your amount of hard pulls low. That's not something that has really a time requirement. But then, so after we've increased our scores using these kind of methods, we then hit things, factors that have time requirements that we sort of need to fulfill to be able to increase our score further and get up above 800. So one of those is just literally the length of your credit history, and that accounts for 15% of your score. So the longer your credit history, the more it's gonna raise your credit score, but it only accounts for 15% the way they work it out. So it's gonna raise your credit score in small increments. The same goes true for your history of on-time payments. So we always encourage you, always pay on time, but the credit score will look at the number of on-time payments you've had, and the more on-time payments you've had, the higher your credit score will go. So credit scores look at a 7-year history of payments, okay? So if you've missed a payment more than 7 years ago, it's not on your score, doesn't matter, all right? So all your payments within the last 7 years are looked at, whether they're on time or missed, and payments that are more recent are weighted more heavily towards your score than payments in the past. And so that's another reason why your credit score will advance very quickly at first, because all your on-time payments are reasonably recent. They're within the last few months, right? But then as your credit history gets longer, those payments you made when you first opened your credit cards are pushed further into the past, so they're now worth less. So you've still got on-time payments in the year or so immediately preceding the present, which are worth a lot, but then you're going to have more payments in the past which are worth less, and that kind of explains why your score starts to increase in much smaller increments the longer it goes on, up to 7 years. So for this one, it's just a case of waiting, just having that full 7-year history of on-time payments. That will definitely have a great impact, and it'll show a very mature account. Now, another thing that shows quite a mature credit account, and this is also something that people who've just started or are just doing things with the sole purpose of improving their credit score, this is something they can't really do, and that's having different types of credit on your account. So most people who just want to improve their credit score, they get a credit card, maybe a no annual fee credit card, and they'll be like, yes, this will be good for my credit score. When I get this credit card, I'll always pay on time and my credit score will increase. But there's another factor which affects 10% of your credit score, and that's different types of credit used on your account. So car payments, car loans, mortgages, etc. And all those things are things that no one would get for the sole purpose of improving their credit score. They're big life decisions. So if you were going to buy a house and you get a mortgage on it, that's a very big life decision. Buying a car with a car loan, that's sort of a medium life decision. It's definitely not something you do just to improve your score. So, out of all the articles I read about people who actually had 850 scores online, a lot of them had mortgages and car loans, and those accounts were also in good standing, okay? So not only do you need to have maybe a different type of credit used on your account, like a mortgage, but it also needs to be in good standing. You can't have missed payments. So basically, just to summarize it, to get an 850 credit score, or to get close to 850, because depending on how it's worked out, it'll fluctuate around that, the 840s, upper 840s, depending on how they work it out, and also what kind of credit you're applying for, what kind of credit check is done. But to get in the high 840s, you need to follow all the usual steps, like credit utilization below 30%, etc., always paying on time. But in addition to that, you have to have a long credit history of 7 years, which is the maximum they look at, and a full 7-year history of on-time payments. And also, you will probably need some other types of credit on your account, which is only really something you can get through actually needing to use those products. So guys, the good news is that an 850 score isn't actually that important. If your score is over 760, that's already what people consider excellent, and normally you'll be able to get all the benefits that someone with a score above 800 or so would get, and I'm going to explain more about that in another video. Now, if you're watching this video on the day it came out, I probably won't have uploaded the second video yet, but once that's uploaded in the next couple of days, I will put that video on the end card, why a perfect 850 score doesn't matter. I do encourage you to check that out. It'll be on screen in just a moment. Guys, what do you think about this? How high is your credit score? How have you built it? Leave your comments below. As always, please subscribe for more credit card tips and tricks. Give this video a like. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.